Welcome everyone. Thanks Peter, and thank you Jason and the team for organising this event tonight and giving us and Paradigm the opportunity to speak to you all. I'd like to note that I've got one of my fellow directors here, Sam Wright, and also the CEO of our Perth-based subsidiary Epichem, Dr. Martine Keenan. Thank you both for coming. I'll go through our presentation has been announced to the stock exchange in the normal way, and I will go through some of these slides fairly quickly. We'll take some of them as read because what I want to do is spend most of the allotted time talking about the pivotal canine lymphoma trial that we've got coming up, our option agreement with Elanco, and why the favourable outcome, if that is to pass, of the canine trial may be beneficial, particularly beneficial for the company. Quickly, the corporate structure. There are two sister subsidiaries. There's Perth-based Epichem and Pitney Pharmaceuticals in Sydney, which has got the Monipantel work, which I'll talk about. But we are a Perth-based company, and we will remain a Perth-based company. The corporate snapshot, I'll leave you to digest that later. As I said, this presentation has been released under Listing Rule 3. The two take-homes are that we don't like debt, we're cashed up for what we need to do following our rights issue earlier this year, and that we do have a fairly open register. Strategic overview, I want to dwell on this slide and the slide on page 7 in particular, because they are going to deal with the various trials we've done to date, the results that we had, and the pivotal trial that we're doing in the future, and then talk about the Epichem business in Perth. PharmAust is a clinical stage oncology company, and by clinical stage that means we're doing trials. We've done one canine trial, we did a human trial at the Royal Adelaide Hospital, and we're about to undertake this key trial on canine lymphoma, and I'm going to talk about why this particular trial is likely to give us a greater indication as to the likely success of the company. The product concerned is something called Monipantel, and it's a product that's actually owned, the molecule is actually owned by Elanco. Elanco has used it for an anti-helminthic, which is basically a sheep drench. It uses it for deworming sheep and cows. We nevertheless, Pitney, identified that it has certain anti-cancer properties, so we registered very tight anti-cancer intellectual property around the world regarding the anti-cancer applications of Monipantel. Elanco, at the time it was Novartis, who've now been taken over by Elanco, hadn't considered anti-cancer applications of this particular product. Our strategy is to consider its application with respect to veterinary applications and also humans. Doing work on dogs is usually a very good segue to what's likely to happen to humans. We do have an option agreement with Elanco for the veterinary uses, and the consequence of that is that we retain all IP for human uses, which of course is the big game ultimately. I'll be talking about Epichem and how profitable it is and its activities following the two lab extensions. The experience management team, I'm just going to pass over that. You can digest that in the fullness of time. The next slide refers to us preparing for this pivotal lymphoma trial. It says during 2019, it's actually starting next month. So I'm going to dwell, if I may, on this particular slide here. It's quite a busy slide. But I want to talk about, at the top, it refers to our initial canine trial. What we did in that particular trial, we used the product that Novartis, now Elanco, give us the sheep drench. It's a liquid called Zolvix. We were giving it to canines, dogs, that were sick with cancer. The liquid, unfortunately, was very unpalatable. It was quite foul tasting. When human beings are sick, they'll take whatever is given to them in an effort to get better. Dogs kind of live more in the now, and they won't eat something, they don't make a connection. So in many cases they were sick, In many cases, they didn't last the course. But that notwithstanding, 6 out of the 7 dogs taking the foul-tasting liquid Zolvix did identify that their tumours either stopped growing or there was regression. And that was quite surprising because it was a very short trial given the palatability issues. It allowed those dogs to have what we call progression-free survival. That means the cancer remains there, but it doesn't grow, and the animal can continue to continue its life. In the previous human trial, which was run at the Royal Adelaide Hospital for us, that 6 out of 6 human patients showed a reduction in a tumor marker called P70S6K. That P70S6K is an indicator of malignancy. So the fact there was a reduction in that tumor in humans indicated that there was some biological effect that was happening. And again, that was the human beings using the liquid. Now, and we see it on the slide, we're coming to this. It's pivotal in the history of this company, our imminent phase 2 canine trial focusing on lymphoma, which is the most prevalent canine cancer. We have turned the liquid Zolvix into a powder and then turned it into a tablet. So we've reformulated it from the foul-tasting liquid into tablet form, which can be taken by canines and human beings. And because it's submicronized, that basically means all the particles are really broken down to small, very small pieces, surface area to volume ratio. So when they digest in your stomach, you get a much more larger component of the active ingredient getting absorbed into the bloodstream. So we can then hopefully determine how effective MPL is on lymphoma, on canine lymphoma. We've got ethics approval from the relevant bodies, and the tablets, I think 8,600, are arriving from our producer Catalent in the middle of next month. We will be recruiting canine patients to undertake this trial. These dogs, when they are being treated, they stay at home with their owners. We train up the owners to the number of tablets they have to give each dog depending on the weight of the dog, and the tablets are given to the dog within an hour of it having a big rich meal of pedigree chum or whatever meat or whatever it has. It's such to increase the absorbency across into the bloodstream. We'll be having this trial with up to the smallest number of dogs will be 8. Because if they all show positive results at 8, you can demonstrate statistical significance. But we're budgeting to work on up to 16 dogs. It'll be a 28-day trial. Blood will be taken from the canine patients on days 1, 4, and 28. There's also measurement of cancer sizes and X-rays. So the key advantages of this, and remember the previous trial showed either stable disease or regression in 6 out of 7 canines. And this time we're using the tablet, not the foul liquid. It's at a higher dose, so we'll be able to see whether it really works. And we can keep going longer than 28 days. The key thing, when you have stable disease and progression-free survival, that is a viable endpoint in its own right. Why? It's a viable endpoint because it means the patient will keep living. The cancer, you live with the cancer, but it doesn't grow. And the advantage of that is that you don't have to have chemotherapy, which, as we all know, makes people sick. We know because it's used as a sheep trench, it's been through hundreds of millions of food chain animals that end up on the dining room table and we eat it. The Elanco dossier that we have been allowed access to, we know that it's fully non-toxic, and that's very unusual for a cancer drug. This trial that we have determined the architecture of this trial in conjunction with Elanco, such that they are aware of the outcome that we're attempting to achieve. We hope to have a full interim data pack by November or December. At the end of the 28 days, we're hoping that we'll produce the dossier and we'll engage with Elanco and encourage them to exercise their option with respect to the use of monipantel for veterinary anti-cancer uses. And I'm going to talk about Elanco's interest in the companion animal market. So thank you. I'll just keep moving on to the next slide, which is that one. Okay, that shows basically Elanco, the work that was done in Sydney at the Animal Referral Hospital, and the reference to Novartis is because Novartis was taken over by Elanco. This shows that there is an enormous market. We believe that this works through the mTOR pathway. It's called mammalian target of rapamycin pathway, and that indicates certain drugs. There's sirolimus, everolimus, and a few others owned by Novartis and Pfizer that are in that area already. That shows that there's a significant unmet need in this area for canines. We all know that there's an increasing middle class around the world. Middle class people love their pets. The children say to their parents, please look after the dog. We're on the right side of history, I think, and the right timing for this. 1 in 4 dogs die of cancer. There's a significant unmet need for this. Initially, we started off looking at monipantal as a frontline therapy. Then we looked at it in conjunction with chemotherapy drugs to get a multiplier effect. And now we see an equally viable endpoint in the stable disease, progression-free survival, living with it so you don't have to have chemotherapy. And Elanco recently paid $243 million for that company, which is in canine osteoporosis, and they're also doing an arrangement with another group on canine lymphoma. So canine lymphoma is a particular area of focus for Elanco, and that is an actual Elanco slide showing their interest in companion animals. Epichem is our Perth-based business, and we've got Dr. Martine Keenan here with us today. Epichem basically does synthetic and medicinal chemistry. It engages in contracts for major large pharmaceutical companies. It has 2 new wonderful state-of-the-art laboratories at Brodie Hall Drive. It's got 18 PhDs, 19 fume hoods, many expert awards over the years, and Martine assures me that it's the best equipped private laboratories in the Southern Hemisphere. Epichem has produced revenues of, when the audited accounts come out, under 4 million this year, and we're anticipating or budgeting for 4.2 in the coming year. If anyone would like to go out and see the laboratories at some stage, I encourage you to do so. It's a wonderful state-of-the-art experience, and it's a very happy environment to work there. So basically, the final situation, I know the time is ticking down, I believe that this company is in the best position it's been in to achieve what I want is a corporate outcome. They're commercial outcomes, clinical outcomes that monipantal works. We would like Elanco to exercise this option, to take control of the canine side of things, leaving us with the human anti-cancer applications of monipantal, which is the big game at the end of the day. And with Epichem. This trial we're doing, we're commencing, we've got ethics approval, the tablets are arriving, the dogs present, and you recruit them one by one, and they each go on their 28-day path. We're hoping it's an open label trial, and that means we can announce results as and when they are forthcoming, if there's a meaningful, discernible trend in the results. We'll keep going because we see there is an advantage, and it'll be of particular interest to Elanco if after the 28 days, the dogs that are on a maintenance dose of 1 tablet a day keep going. That is progression-free survival. That is a viable endpoint. That would open the door to human use in a much larger market. And Epichem, I've spoken about that, and there's details in the slide. I believe that this company is well positioned for the rest of the year to achieve our commercial outcome of hopefully a successful phase 2 trial, and we'll be reporting to the market as and when the results come in. Thank you, everyone.